Good evening, everybody. My name's Dave, and I'm the MC for tonight. Now that's what I like, an attentive audience. Okay. Welcome to our first storytelling event, organised by The People Speak, who are known for their Talkie-Okie talk show. Anybody done Talkie-Okie here? Yeah. There we go. So you get the general idea. The idea for tonight came from workshops we did earlier in this year as a group of local residents. We wanted to set up a pirate radio station. Okay, John, you're going to take it away from here?
Yes.
And if they're not nice to you, see me.
I'm sure they will be. Right. Hi, folks. Right. In the words of that old entertainer, I want to tell you a story. You see? And as Maxie would say, and I met him once, my stories are good. And the point of my story is that the other day I was listening to the radio when somebody was talking about artificial intelligence. And they said, we can get rid of all the simple jobs and they can be done by the computer, and we'll have to find some ways of getting people recompensed for not being able to do jobs. Now, that sounds wonderful, but it set up a problem for me, because some time ago I had a friend who worked in a sheltered workshop, and they did the most, he was disabled like me, as you can see I'm in a wheelchair, and they did the most, to me, mind-numbing job that ever was. They put 5 washers in a plastic bag and did that in their working day for whatever they could get in addition to their benefits. So, we being reforming people, saying disabled people deserve better than that, got it changed. And we set it up, so instead of having to do this, what I would have called mind-numbing work, they could do arts, crafts, and music appreciation and stuff like that. Now, that sounds marvellous, but my friend who lived there never forgave me, because when he was doing his job, putting in these things, he was doing something where he felt he was giving something back to society. He felt needed and required. When we took that away from him, he felt a bit lost. And he made himself a job at the centre he was at by becoming their receptionist, which again sounds fine, but if you knew my friend, you'd laugh, because he could hardly be understood. People couldn't understand much of what he said, but he was always there to grant people, greet people. So I suppose what I'm thinking is, first of all, you should always be aware of what you're asking for, and secondly, you should perhaps look outside the box to see what the unknown effects are, because I learned afterwards that the best time in my friend's life was the 3 months before Christmas, where he spent his life printing on a printing machine the message on Christmas cards for the local offices. So I would say to you, always think the effects of what you're doing, and don't look at the narrow, look at the wide. And whether we got it right to make those changes, I don't know. It's been something that's been bothering me for years. So I just wanted to put that forward as a thought, because it does bother me. I'm often talking about it, because after 10 years I still haven't worked out whether we've got the right solutions. So beware when they talk about artificial intelligence. We need people, and people need to be needed. Yeah. And that's
Well, John's got us off to a great start. And our next, I don't want to use act, because act doesn't seem the right phrase to describe. Next performer, I think that's much better. We've got Rona Topaz from London, which covers a large area. She's been performing since 1977. including in Parliament.
Good evening, all. Just a shout out to John. I'm disabled. I'm terrified of AI. I can relate, very much relate. I'm lucky to be employed at the moment, but terrified of AI taking over and not having universal basic income or any purpose in life. But that hasn't happened yet. I'll tell you my story now. This is a true story, as in it really happened, folks. I'm very old. I started performing in 1977 when I was a small child. And 30 years ago, 30 years ago, I almost had a record deal with CBS Records. And then at the very last moment, they decided to sign another singer. She called herself Desiree. And they didn't sign me. They could use the budget they would use for me for Desiree. And I was out of my ear. And I thought, what do I do with my life? I wanted to be a pop star, professional singer, and it all fell apart in the last minute. Couldn't get another producer, couldn't get another deal. Being told I was too old, even then, because I was in my 20s, too old in my 20s, unbelievable. So I got the opportunity to work on a collaborative songwriting project that was spearheaded by a man called Raymond Douglas Davis. Now, for you young uns, just Google him. He was lead singer with a band called The Kinks. Ask your parents. For you older or more mature folks, you probably remember him. He had a lot of hits with The Kinks in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And here we were in the early 90s, and here he was leading this songwriting project. And I thought to myself, I don't want any special treatment because I'm disabled. I don't want to be fussed over. I don't want those reasonable adjustments to kind of just supersede everyone else on the. We're all here together to sort of learn from each other, sort of thing. So it all started off really well, and then Ray turned up, and then from then on it was all special treatment and a lot of what I would call coercion. And a lot of dominance, and a lot of patronizing, and a lot of controlling, to the point where I felt he was almost telepathically controlling my thoughts. It was really quite constraining. And after the third day of the project, I just said to him, "Leave me the F alone, please. Back off. I want to work with the other people. I don't want to work with you. It's not because, you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you're doing everything wrong because I just feel like I can't breathe around you." I didn't say it in so many words. I think I was a lot more polite. I hope I was a lot more polite. But anyway, he backed off. And after 2 days, I got to know the other people on the project. We wrote some songs together. I was having a grand old time. But then Ray sort of turned on me a bit, and instead of being really warm and really kind of intimate and affectionate and kind, and to a coercive point, to a coercive perspective, really kind of kind to a point where suffocating was the word I'd use. Suffocating. He suffocated me, and he went the opposite direction. He became really like this block of ice, and I thought, oh gosh, what have I done? What have I done? I wanted him to back off. I wanted him to sort of leave me alone, go away, but he didn't have to go to the other extreme. He went to the other extreme, and I thought, oh, goodness me. So the lesson I took from that was to be a little bit more, I suppose, more forthright in terms of how people make me feel, but at the same time, don't necessarily push people away to the extent where they turn on you. Just kind of just find the middle ground is what I learned from that experience. 3.5 years later, I came with a friend of mine to see him. We sort of like surprised him, And I was literally hiding behind my friend because I didn't know how he would react when he saw me. And when he saw me, he was really, really, really glad to see me. And we kind of kissed and made up, and it was all right. So we kind of parted. Eventually, we parted on very, very good terms. And, I could tell that he kind of forgave me. I said, look, I don't know if my behavior towards you was the most polite and professional. And he said, stop putting yourself down. which I thought was really sweet. So we kind of kissed and made up. But I wrote a poem based on that experience, and I'd like to perform that poem for you now. This is called Ambiguity, which is exactly what I felt when I was around him. Get out of my life. I abstain from you. You're no longer one of my chosen few. You invaded my space, broke my barriers down. You hurt me. You reduce me to intimacy. I want to be free. I feel caged and bound. So tightened and wound, it's almost absurd. How did you do this to me? Not just words. You opened my senses, destroyed my defenses. You know you look so much better from a distance. Don't come nearer. Go away. Go away. Why can't you just heed me? The things that I say can't be said any clearer. This isn't meant to be this spiritual, physical intimacy. Not from you, not to me. Now you get the message. You're cold. You're polite. But a slow deprivation of fire is ignited and is now snuffed to a cinder. But I'm burning in the wake of the passion you gave, which I chose to forsake. And now, second thoughts come too late for salvation of what you once offered me. The pain and starvation I'm facing in your absence is too much to bear. I can't understand why, but I'm starting to care. Come back in my life. I'm in love with you. You're now number one of my chosen few. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Rona, for that. Poetry. I'm from the fine city of Salford. And, of course, the big poet from the city of Salford is John Cooper Clarke. And he announced about a couple of months ago that he was doing the first big theatre tour of poets. So obviously poetry is the coming thing. And we've just had Rona, and now I'd like to introduce Hasina, who's also doing some poetry. Big round for Hasina.
Okay, this is a story that I sort of made up when I was in school. So it was like about 40 years ago. Yeah, and I found it in my suitcase. Got it out the other day, and I thought, yeah. So, yeah. So it's called, A Leap in the Dark. It was a dark, sooty night. The fierce air was making my hair stand on end, and the humming of the wind was deafening and so shrill. The moon started melting, forming into a gaseous mass of frog spawn. The will-o'-the-wisps were whizzing around the miniature volcanoes, the size of my foot. Some of them were catching the stars, whilst others were bursting clouds. When the clouds were burst, there came an endless shower of salt. I ran to the bridge ahead for shelter below the trees. As I ran across the bridge, the thorns kept holding onto my waist, and I fell into a sea of gorse bushes. They attacked me very badly. I was bleeding and my body stung all over because the salt had now mingled with it. At last, they let me go. At the chance, I jumped into the sky where the crows were laying their eggs. I had landed on the clouds. I lay down here to ease the sting in my body. After, when the crows were busy talking, I stole one egg and flew away before they could guess what I was doing. As I flew, I gobbled the egg down. Soon, I saw that my wings were beginning to disappear, so I made a crash landing on the blue grass below. Near me were the dogs being milked by baboons, and nearby was a cottage. I asked one baboon if I could rest in her cottage for a little while. She gave me permission, so I opened the door and went in. It was very bright inside, and big too. The outside seemed so small compared to the inside. The door behind me vanished and became white. The whole room was white now, but there was no light to be seen anywhere. It was very strange. There were white beds and patients were dressed in white, including the visitors. Everyone was talking loudly at high speed. I blocked my ears and ran through the opposite door where I came to a long, narrow passageway. Headless bodies ran everywhere. Only the headless nurses dressed in white tights stood still in one place. As I ran, I blew everyone out of the way. Soon I came to another door. As soon as I opened the door, I fell upwards and landed on a soft black cushion. I opened my eyes. It was still dark, though a midnight blue sky looked at me with its piercing, glistening eyes. As I looked in front, I saw a solid shadow. It was a big box covered in a great big black material. When I climbed up it, I saw a golden stairway leading into the sky. I stepped into the golden stairway. As I did so, it started moving upwards like an escalator towards the heavens above. While I was going up, all I could see was shapes of prisms becoming squares and circles forming between circles. On the way up, I met a woman. She was bright orange. She was tearing up her body parts and throwing it all over the sky. But she seemed to grow each part again, back again. I also saw a man who had just given a fish to his wife to cook while he went away to have a bath. When he dived into the water and came up again, he became a woman. The place where he lived disappeared, and the people there too. A man walked by and saw the woman and took her away and married him. They lived together for 7 years and had 7 children. Another day, the woman who had been a man before was having a bath in the pond. When he got up, he found that he had been changed back into a man, and as he was 7 years ago. And there was his home. He ran into the house where his wife was still cooking the fish. He vowed to his wife never to treat her badly and cooked the fish himself. The story kept repeating. Now the man went to have a bath again. I was walking up the stairs still when everything became very, very dark. Suddenly the lamps in the velvet sky disappeared and the gaseous mass of frog spawn were eaten up by the big egg yolk in the dark. A whip cracked over my skull. Everything around me became red. The yolk became a big drop of red blood and splashed into the mirror below. The white mass of wool reflected its shadow onto the mirror where it turned into fire. Sin walked out of the red boiling liquid. As she came towards me, I noticed her left eye was blinded and the right eye was as big as a saucer. The red veins were sticking out of her eye and the hairs grew on her ears. She was bald on one side and had knotted hair on the other side. The sight of her was horrifying. I couldn't stop the pounding of my heart. As she approached me, she stunk so much I couldn't stand it. I ran up the steps so quickly that I practically floated upward. I soon lost her and reached the top of the stairs. There was a covering there with a small hole. There was another world through that hole here. There was a place on one side. There was the sun shining on the other side. It was nighttime where there was moonlight. Under were houses and rooftops. Cornflakes and boxes were falling from nowhere. I pulled off the cover to find that there wasn't any sun or moon or even cornflakes, but it was the summer twilight. There were empty birds' nests floating between the emptiness of this hazy atmosphere. Showers of bluebells and violets grew, making a pathway towards the shimmering castle in the midst. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're in the poetry slot now, so we've got another poet. This man's come all the way from Haringey, where I used to work. Well, so I've got to give him the big... His full name is Shahidur Rahman. This is an Arab name whose full meaning is something like martyr in the name of compassion. It's not quite him. Well, this is what the script says, and I always stick... All right, then. He helps run a poetry collective They're called firebrand poets. He's fairly new to performing, however, so be good or I will be telling you some jokes. He will perform The Spider's Love for Kashenka, a love poem. Yes. Highly honoured.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for coming, turning up. It's wonderful to see all these bright faces and people here. Yeah, it's a bit better. It's bright faces and people turning up, and I suppose celebration of the people of, where are we? Is it Tower Hamlets? I suppose. Aberfeldy Village, Tower Hamlets, wider. So this is called The Spider's Love for Kashenka, and for those that are not familiar with the Polish, Kashenka is a Polish name which is a diminutive form for Katarzyna. Katarzyna, so Kashenka. As a kind of declaration of love. Well, the subject is a kind of spider, I suppose. For me. Oh. So, I have lain this simple note by the ivory nook of your fine ear, Kashenka, as you lay sleeping, perplexed by your grievous case of epilepsy. I should have said, she is suffering from a brain tumor. This is real. Wriggling grubs and evil lice have wended their way into your temple, and a cavalier caterpillar is entertaining his noisome tribe with tales regaled by the spiral of your cochlea. The pink sack of a baby rat is somewhere hanging like an ampoule, while in the mid-moonlight its mum and dad roll tumbrils of syrup and dirt to make their nests. All the while, the lattice of the moon creates a luminous treadle for the golden spider to work, and an owl is hooting gently that the hour is getting late and the world must be soon to bed. I too must sleep, but since I've had 15 minutes to spare, I used it to write to you. Mark this, though I've embellished this sheet with relish, adorned it with music, mended my broken charactering, words and spells pulled out of the air hang like cobwebs, ghostly as the flea they settle, induced as if by chemicals or sorcery, making transference of zany electrical impulse. These may strike of little consequence to you, Kashenka. This is true. But to me, oh my dear sparrow, all my heart I have poured forth. I have drunk a rushing spring's bouquet from the pining lilac neck of autumn. A wicker basket is now full of carnations, a glass vase full of tulips. This is my card, whereon is writ my devotion. Take note, my petal, that the north wind soon shall blow, and in winter's dull grip a drift of snow shall before time close my door to you. Then even old Uranus's song shall have been in vain, and he'll put away his harp, and wandering beyond Saturn's belt itself, be lost to time and age and grief. Could you bid Kashenka be in a trance, or comb her yellow hair? Could you bid her lids be set with pearls? Look, Look, the purple of the Aegean Sea is in her eyes. From aquamarine and topaz she shall be cast, or otherwise shall be engraved in shell, set as a glittering pendant to be worn by 2 penny-bit sham divines. Rather, let her be suspended in time, and let me, fluttering overhead, never descending, never yielding, utter instead something inspired of harmony, more vexed and roaring than when the full moon tides and sucks in half the world. Well might I have held Kashenka's snowy hand in mine. Not even jade emperors could have worn her mitt as fit for theirs, made of such an ermine, yet as ordinary as a pound of millet. Bring on oils in her absence, bring on nuptials, bring on variegated aromas in vials plentiful, and viands ambrosial. Play on a soothing saraband if you must. Oh, why not bring on the gorgeous, unfurling wing of the imperial butterfly, then, you gods who have decided these things, if you cannot bring her to me. But never bid me to know of my lady's parting from hence, nor let old age graze her hair to make it aspen. Aye, yonder lies my angel of epileptic fury shaking. None could be so proud as my Kashenka, soft as the lips of dawn, but as strong as a bar of iron. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. The high standards have been laid down by our poets. I think it's time I'm going to lower the tone. What do you reckon? Man knocked on my door today selling chimneys. So I said, how much? He said, it's on the house. I did warn you. I'm a green comedian. I recycle old jokes. Okay. Very topical. Right, so the next performer, I need my glasses on again. All the way from Newham. It's Zoe. She used to live in Ukraine pre-war, and the poem's about loss, and also about friendship in particular. Zoe has some experience of performing, but it's the first time she's performing poetry. So a good hand for Zoe, please.
Hello. So normally I perform songs, but this is a little poem that I wrote. I wish I'd memorized it, but I'm just going to use my phone. It's called Rose. I held out my hand towards a small light flickering, and then it went out, faulty. I held out my hand and I felt a warm feeling, dark flood as old as time, stained sheets and washing powder. I held out my hand and it rests there in space, cold, bare. Searching for starlings in a murmuration, 2 flies buzzing, swarming together around shit. I held out my hand to spot the flies. I held out my hand to people, but it's a block of ice, searching for warm encounters, stumbling on a woman, apologetic and awkward, a woman that you want to hold and shake, a wish for her pain to wrap around your pain like 2 tropical slugs mating, twisting together until you're not you and she's not she. I held out my hand to smile and say goodbye, wondering if we'll be friends. I held out my hand, but there's still a missing person. I wonder about filing a missing persons report. Lost harmonic sounds, looking for laughter, tinkling giggles like innocent children, but stuck now in a cacophony of noise. I held out my hand, but I've lost touch, hand hoping to hold a mug of tea at her parents' house, my mug, her hand in your hand, walking in the park, singing, crying, shouting together. You can almost taste the tea, the buttered toast made in a rush. I held out my hand and I grabbed for Egyptian cotton, aching, dulled by luxury duvet, slowly peeling open eyes after war, and seeing everything is the same as before. I held out my hand for sweet things like candy floss, crying in the dark, stuffing hamster cheeks full of soft, fluffy sugar that will make my teeth fall out. The world blurry, sinking teeth in, irresistible melting. Time passes and I hold out my hand to turn up the volume, to drown in noise. I stride past zombies sleepwalking, looking gormless at me as I hold the mug that reminds me of you. That's it.
All these performers are being very kind. They're all sticking to script and they're all on time. In actual fact, we're above time. So where we are at the moment is on one of the great fault lines of British history. Zoe's from Newham. Newham is on the other side of the River Lee. We are on the Saxon side of England, and Newham is on Danelaw, which was once controlled by the Vikings. So it's interesting that we think that we're here, but we also have roots that go back a long way. And if we could just feel the land and how it's changed, it's always very interesting. I titled my script Imaginarium, where we could all think differently. Right, so we've got more acts, so I'll stop rambling, and if my friend Mike here assists me. Right, the next person we have is Julie. My twin's called Julie, but that's by and by. And Julie's going to talk about never meet your heroes. I once met my hero on Stevenage Station, but I'm going to leave it there.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's not too high, is it?
Cheers. Hello, everyone. I say never meet your heroes, but never what I really meant to say was never meet your heroes uncomposed. Because Sting was a huge fan of mine and still is, huge hero of mine and still is. When I moved to Japan, I was missing British music, and I wanted to. I walked an hour to a record store, and I said, the first British act I land on is going to be it. And I bought Mercury Falling, and I loved Sting from then. And then my sister said to me, about 4 years later, Sting's doing a signing at Waterstones in Piccadilly. You've got to take the day off. You've got to take the day off. So I called my other sister and I said, you've got to take the day off. You've got to get to Waterstones. You've got to take a picture of me and Sting. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. Take the day off. So we took the day off, and I thought, no one's going to be there. Sting's not a writer. You know, it's just going to be nobody there. We're going to have a good chat. So we got to Piccadilly 3 hours before the signing, and we queued for 5 hours around Waterstones, Piccadilly. And all we heard was, keep moving, he's not making any dedications, keep moving. We walked for 5 hours, round and around Waterstones, Piccadilly. Finally saw Sting's shoe started shaking. Oh my God, it's him. And finally got to him, and I lost the ability to speak. And my sister Valentina, who's gobby, said, hi Sting, my name's Valentina, and today's my birthday. Of course, it wasn't her birthday, but she was trying to get a dedication because they'd said no dedications. So he said, okay, yeah, what's your name? So I'll sign it. And then he says to her, do you want a kiss? It's your birthday. And she was like, yeah. And as he turned, she locked lips with Sting. And I suddenly got locked in syndrome and thought, what the hell are you doing? But couldn't move and said, you're just here to take a photo of me and Sting. In my mind, but I couldn't move. I just started crying. So Sting turned to me and he said, do you want a kiss as well? And I mumbled, You can see in this picture, Sting and I, Sting says, what's your name? And I said, I must have said Judy, because he wrote Judy in the book. When I came out Waterstones, I opened the book, it said, to Judy, love Sting. I burst into tears again. My sister tried to console me, it was too late. I looked at the book for 10 years, and every time I looked at the book, I was pissed off, because my name's Julie, not Judy. I said, this has got to go. I put it on eBay. The buyer said, how do I know it's a true signature of Sting? I said, I've got the best evidence. I've got a picture of me crying next to Sting and the article. So when you meet your heroes, meet them, but meet them composed.
Shall I say thank you, Judy, or thank you, Julie? Boo. Well, you've all been so good so far. I think you've all earned a break. So we're going to take a 15-minute break. So you can wet your whistles, and then we'll carry on with this extravaganza. Thank you. Warm-up acts. They put me on to warm up the pies. That's a northern gag. It's true, actually. He did put acts on to warm up the pies, because the most important thing was to eat the pies, not the axe. So that's a bit unkind, but we have got another act ready to come very, very soon. Ready? Got to get the cam. I'll tell you another gag. Right. Oh, right. Hecklers. Very difficult. I once dealt with a heckler. They threw eggs, milk, and cheese at me. I was dairy-fied. Does anybody study the Bible here? Do you know there was a motorbike in the Bible? David's triumph was heard throughout the land. And can anybody name the 2 ice cream companies in the Bible? Walls of Jericho and Lions of Judah. It's not going to get any better. Right. Without any more ado, I'm proud to announce Sophie Stardust is going to sing for us. Sophie, welcome. Okay, everybody ready? Settle down. Come on, give Sophie a round of applause.
Keep it clapping. Are we ready?
Shall I keep ad-libbing here? I think so. I'm not going to sing. Well, I will if you're not nice to me. Right, so this guy was in Wigan, Lancashire. Anybody been to Wigan? Right. Right. He wound his window down and asked one of the locals, was there a B&Q in Wigan? And the local said, oh, I don't know. W-R-G-A-N. No, there's no B&Q in Wigan. Oh, it's terrible, isn't it? Does anybody watch the film Cold It? The TV series? Well, that's good, so I can tell you the jokes. Excellent. What's a Greek urn?
3 drachma a day.
3 and 6 a week. Greek urn? No, never mind. Right. Next one. How do you make a Venetian blind? Poke his eyes out. And finally, I took my wife. My wife went on a holiday to the West Indies. No, she went of her own accord. I thank you. Those gags are 50 years old, by the way. The tension is killing me here. I think we'll have to move on without any more delay. We're going to have Dale. Give me a big round of applause.
Thank you, ladies and gents. Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay. I've got 2 short poems to share with you. They got to do around the subject of mental health, society, and recovery. So I hope you enjoy listening to them. It would pass. Time ticking slowly as pain emerged, buried in the soul, not knowing when to stop. These furious thoughts of anger and rage and rejection flowing, the mind wandering, afloat a dark nature's stormy vortex. Time will pass. It truly would pass. A slap here and there, running away from disappointment and failure. These strange, torturous feelings will drift away sometime soon. Time will pass. It will pass. I travel back in time, wondering when this twine would end, not knowing when the next bout will arise. It would pass. Time would pass. These words are for healing. Please don't take them personal. In harsh times of weariness, isolation and rejection, and disbelief and madness, time would surely pass. It would pass. I reflect on the past and shape the future of me. I run away with new challenges and positivity. I will laugh at monster devil, the master of all rejections and turbulence. My eyes are watered in hot tears, but in silent whooshing frequency. My bones and my flesh a reflection of my being and existence. Time will surely pass. It will pass. As the mountains travel high and the valleys journey low, my resilience will design new routes for new beginnings. It's never too late in life to make positive changes. It's never too quick too soon to look into the past, creating railings for the future. Life is a stage, living the mirror of transitions and progressions. It would pass. Time would surely pass. Hope is my garment of strength. Time would pass. Time surely would pass. It would pass. Time is always evolving. Oh, yes, time. 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 Thank you. Lovely, thank you very much. And the second poem is titled Bright Lights, No Darknesses. So soft like a stormy storm, like a quiet storm, the man started to bloom. The light shone upon this man, this aspiring man you rip apart in times of darknesses. But now it's all about brightness, the lighting of the mind. My faces were in scars, these numerous faces of psychosis, this man you were jealous of. It's about the shiny bright lights, the blooming of the mind, a reflection of the soul. As pain took charge, a different beauty shone to humanity. Softly, softly the wind of change blew. So sweet, so soft. Softly change rang its bells to recovery. The lights in my mind were switched on. The darkness is at the end, now a luminous light, a skylight blue. Gently, gently. Hope wore a streetlight outfit and danced the hip-hop to celebrate life. No more hidden scars across my distorted faces. My heart is pumping. This man is grieving. This tormented man is flourishing. The curtains to my eyes are open to let light in. Life is sweet, full of aspirations and dreams, full of joy, happiness, and compassion. Softly, gently, sweetly I end this story. This world is precious, is blinding to the eyes. This life is a testament to resilience and pride. It's so sweet, deeply sweet. Softly, softly the wind blows. The lights are now on. Softly, gently life flows. Softly, gently the trees swing. Softly, softly, so softly, so sweet. Life is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I should have given it a big build-up. He's an actor, he's a local, he's come all the way from Brick Lane, so thank him for his efforts. Right. I have to put my glasses on because I'm very old and I can't see. Right. Are you there, Mother? Right. The next person we have is Justine, Poems and Prose. Justine is from south of the river, all the way from south of the river. Brixton, the first place I lived in London, would you believe? Interesting fact about her is that Harrison Ford once drew a piece of apple on a paper plate for her.
Apple pie.
Apple pie. It just says piece of apple here. I've written the script. I don't know. So there we are. So this is her first time performing, so give her a warm welcome. You've already done that. Again, thank you.
So, yes, hello. I've got 3 true stories for you. And it is your difficult challenge to guess which one isn't actually based on real experience. So the first one, 2 of them are in poem format, and the other one is a short piece of prose. And I'll start with the piece of prose. So it's called Caldoza. You arrive at the top of a steeply inclined dirt track to a giant cookpot on an open fire. It is placed at the centre of the end of the road and is surrounded by do-it-yourself breeze block homes, visibly connected with trailing electricity cables, propped overhead on makeshift masts. You're in the ghetto now, at dusk in a hot, dusty city on the other side of the world. You draw closer and can smell the goodness in the pot. Someone comes out of the shadows to greet you and ladle a thick cupful of its contents to everyone in your group. It tastes good too. In blind, gulped mouthfuls, you recognize the yellow sweet crunch of maize, chewy chunks of meat, yucca hunks, squash, and the cream of slow-cooked malanga. As you work through it, you look around to take in the spread of city lights below, idly attempting to trace your journey from the centre to get here. You were guided by word on the street, and then, as you drew closer, by the belly pulse of the bass. An old school speaker stack is built on the porch of one of the houses and is pumping out reggae. The whole neighbourhood has signed up for this, just as the whole neighbourhood contributed what it could to the cook pot. Ingredients of care, generosity and cooperation line your stomach and ground you for your first slug of rum from the bottle being passed around. Everybody is in this party together, and this is how the good times roll till daybreak. Okay, so the next one is called She Walks on Water. Afterwards, she found herself no longer able to lie at the bottom of the bathtub. Even without a saturation of salts, the water buoyed her, insistent. Her body bucked up at one end or the other as she tried to lever down from the sides. Then, at the swimming pool, breaststroke became an effort of scraping an arc to heave forward with paddle hands along the resistant surface, belly barely dipped and legs struggling to find traction in the shallow tail of froth behind her. Longing to enter inside its mass and sway, to reconcile the very substance of herself in its embrace, she arrowed head sharply down, thrusting full weight to pierce the skin of it, only to be chucked immediately back out, beached on water. Denied, she became defiant, pushed, up on all fours. A last look down into the depths of its rejection before kneeling, then standing to walk, feet flat slapping little splashes the full length of the fast lane and out of the pool. Okay, so this is a little less ridiculous. And this one's called Hardback, and it is, it's for my husband who's sitting over there. Hardbacked, it arrives in A4 envelope, conspicuous with issuing authority stamp, for him to find in an empty home upon returning from his early morning cleaning job. In the afternoon, he steps around it to run shopping errands and waits the day long for the return of his wife to sit close as he slides it from inside. Finger inch by inch from Manila, colourless, foreign words, acronyms, and other lower and uppercase combinations of numbers with letters, cornered sections, logo endorsed. His eyes seek passage through this maze and, still glazed with hope, raise momentarily to meet his wife's, anxious to arrive or not at the grayscale box of fate decided. There was a poem about roundabouts, but I think maybe that's for if there's time at the end.
You can join the open mic.
Yes.
Do we need to guess which one's the...
Yes, you have to guess which one is the not based on really true life, real experience.
Was it number one?
I don't know. In my dreams, though, sometimes I'm trying to swim through the shallowest amount of water and I'm scraping that arc. So, yeah, I have some experience of this. I just wish I could push up and walk off it. Anyway.
Thank you, Justine. First time. No doubt she'll go again. Does anybody want another joke? Yeah. Right. Richard III, when he heard about they were going to build a car park in Leicester, he said, "Over my dead body." Okay, the next performers, duo, I think. We've got Kay and Bo, who are going to tell us a story, Orangutan's Eventful Life. Round of applause, please. Here we go. I could join in. I'm joining in.
Oh, I thought we were going to... Oh.
Double act.
No, we can't sit. Are we going
Double act.
to sit down? Guess not, eh? I brought some props because he said to me, you know, I've got to get the story right. He's a bit fussy about it. It's a bit, you know. So you don't want to look at them yet? Okay. So he doesn't want to look at you yet. And so I'll just start the story and then he can just join in when he's ready. Is that all right? Yeah, okay. He's a bit shy. So basically, oh, thank you, my lovely assistant. Basically, this is Boris. He's an orangutan, a very shy orangutan, as you can see. Can you not get, it's too hot. Can you just, thanks. So Boris wasn't really born as other orangutans normally would be. You know, he was made very lovingly by a template, fur, you know, bits of Velcro, all kinds of, sorry, okay, not bits of Velcro. He was made very lovingly by a template, and he was, all the different parts of him were on the conveyor belt, and he was put together by an AI one-armed robot. So not the very kind of, you know, warm, loving environment you'd expect a orangutan to be born into. He wasn't fortunate enough to have lovely green trees, wasn't fortunate enough to have lovely fresh fruit every day. Just, you know, the factory floor and the conveyor belt. So basically, after that, are you ready to show yourself yet? No, okay. So after that, he was lined up with lots of other orangutans and driven to Surrey for a kind of conventional choir music festival weekend. And my good friend Louise, it was my birthday, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to find you something really nice at the festival for your birthday." So what happened? Oh, whoever made Boris had chosen his eyes. I forgot to mention his eyes, sorry. Are you ready to show the eyes? No. Okay. So his eyes are the most beautiful brown eyes you've ever seen. I mean, they're just gorgeous. You just look at him and you think, oh, he's so gorgeous. When you see him, of course. So he was taken to Surrey, and then he was hung on a hook on a stool and hung there all gangly, waiting for someone to buy him. It was a really sunny day. My friend Louise was with her friends, and she saw these glistening, kind of shiny things in the distance. And she said to her friends, "God, look at that, it's amazing, what is that?" She ran over to the stall, thought, well, you know, I'm going to go and have a look, and saw this gangly, beautiful, brown-eyed orangutan. Oh, okay, too much, oh, okay. You have to do it a bit quietly. So she said, I want to buy this monkey. And the guy said, well, actually, love, it's not a monkey, it's an orangutan. Get your facts right. And I'll sell him to you for 25 quid. She said, done. So she grabbed him, they wrapped him up, they put him in a bag. So that was great. The next day, it was my birthday. She banged on the door at 7 o'clock in the morning with a cup of tea. Kim, I've got this amazing present. You've got to open the bag. Opened the bag. There he was, Boris. Oh. He was so gorgeous. Well, he is gorgeous, aren't you? Yes, he's gorgeous. So, oh, hang on a minute. What you want me to... Oh, all right, I'm getting the prompts. I'm not telling the story properly. What do you mean? I've done that. Yes, I've done that. Hey, grip. Anyway, as you can imagine, he lived in Tower Hamlets. He's not had the most, you know, fortunate of times. Well, some of the time it's been fortunate. He comes to work with me. He works with the children. He likes that. But he got this invitation one day, he thought it was from the Queen. Invitation. You thought it was from the Queen, didn't you? He was so excited. Should I tell them? Yeah, it wasn't from the Queen. Okay. I don't know if I can read your writing, Boris. Dear Mr. Boris, you are formally invited for an interview. At Universal Credit. We see from our records that you are not working, and we would like you to come for a formal visit. This appointment is mandatory, and you must attend. 4th of September 2023, 2:30, and dress smart. Well, there was a bit of a shock there. We put a tie on you, didn't we? Yeah, we put a tie on him. He went in. We filled in the form. Okay. We sat behind the desk because the woman asked all these questions. Okay. Do you speak English? No. Orangutan. Well, kind of. Sorry, there's no box for that. Okay. Where do you live? Oh, he lives with me because, we work together. Okay, yeah, okay. With me, yeah. But are you earning any money? No, he's working voluntary. No, I'm sorry, you can't work voluntary. You can't work voluntary. No, you have to go out and get a job. Right, you can't be sponging off the state. No, you need to get a job. Okay, fine, you get a job. Okay, so what are we looking for here? Okay, yes, you've got experience on conveyor belt. Do you want a job with Amazon? No. No, I don't want a job with Amazon. No. Okay. Oh, I see. You've got good experience working on a stool. Do you want to be a stool holder? No. No, don't want to be a stool holder. Okay, well, Boris was so stressed out by this form. Do you speak English? Can you, do you sign? Yes, he signs, yes. What language do you sign? Well, he signs Makaton. Well, sorry, that's not in the box. Okay, well, forget the box then. He was so stressed out. I was stressed out. So we decided that we would go home, put the kettle on, and have a nice cup of tea. Yes, and that's the end of the story. Okay.
There you go. K and Bo, people. Just goes to show you should never work with animals and people. Animals and people, I said. Animals and children. Okay. Well, we're coming towards the penultimate act, I believe. Is that a big word? Too big a word for tonight? Don't forget, we've got an open mic and we've got one slot left. The only problem with having one slot left is that I will take it. And I've got more jokes, but maybe not. Right, without any more ado, we have Simon, who's doing stand-up comedy. He's from round the corner in Bow. And here we are, people. Listen to this. He's previously performed on stage with Dizzy Rascal and Skepta, whoever they are. Right, it's going to be only the second ever time performance of comedy, so there we are. All yours, sir.
Hello, everybody. What's happening? You all right? Yeah. I'm afraid I'm not nearly as cute as Boris, but I'll give it my best.
How can you follow that?
I know, and you as well. It's incredibly hard. Anyway, I'm Simon. I think I'm not completely sure since that last ketamine trip. I've got two major problems in life: fear, indecision, and counting. I'm scared of all sorts. If the reaction to fear is fight or flight, I've got platinum tier air miles. Ironically, I'm scared of flying. I wake up in a cold sweat after nightmares that the only in-flight entertainment was the Mean Girls remake. My biggest pet hate, apart from people that think that brunch is a personality trait, is those 16 immortal words. What's the worst that could happen? Asking that question is a policy so cruel, it could have been the brainchild of Suella Braverman. You're going to like this bit then. Hello, Boris. I was thinking Rwanda. What's the worst that could happen? I don't know, just stick on the Mean Girls remake or something. Full disclosure, I've got no idea if that's what Suella Braverman sounds like, because I can't hear dog whistling. And I don't listen to cunts. Sorry, forgive the language. I didn't know the crowd. All right, I'll donate happily. It's worth it to diss Suella. We all know this. I'll double it out for her. Right, so what's the worst that could happen? What a terrible, terrible question to ask. Imagine asking a catastrophising mind that, like little Stanley, terrified of going to bed because he's scared of monsters under the bed. All right, Stanley, what I want you to think about is the worst that could happen. Can you do that for me? Imagine the scariest monster possible. Maybe it's wearing your mum's face, except divided across a number of tentacles. Now a higher number of tentacles. That's good, Stanley, but stop crying. Now what I want you to do is imagine those tentacles rolling you out from the feet first, like a tube of human toothpaste, until your mushy internal organs come bursting out of your eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Good night, Stanley. Hashtag Je suis Stanley. I'm just cosplaying as a fully functional human being. In reality, I'm more like a stack of neurotic kids trying to sneak their way into life's adult cinema by wearing an oversized fleshy man coat. Spent all this time and money in therapy trying to get to know my inner child, only to find out they're a cynical coward who can't even choose between 2 brands of barista-style oat milk. I'm indecisive, I think. I went shopping without a list once, and I came back with syphilis. That's the only time it ever worked out. I'm so sorry. This was quite the sea change from Boris, wasn't it? Oh, fuck, where am I? Sorry, that's another pound in the jar. Okay, cool, listen. We've all got choices to make in life, all right? They say variety is the spice of life, but sometimes it can give you a dodgy belly and ring sting. Like a home in pigeon biryani, bad choices are always coming back to bite you in the arse. Is that a pound? Probably not. We've all got choices to make. Panini or pan chocolat? Which is easier to shoplift from self-service? Marvel movies or Mumford & Sons? Which is a better metaphor for beige? Keir Starmer or Rishi Sunak? Whose head should be first through the guillotine? Comrades! There might not always be a best choice in life, but there's usually the lesser of many evils. Like which brand of cat food is least likely to make Mr. Kipper vomit on my Air Max 90s? Again. Or which school of psychotherapy is most likely to stop me calling my mum Mr. Kipper? The reason I'm obsessed with the best choice in life is that I'm constantly making the worst. If life is what you make it, I've made it that weird smelly residue at the bottom of the toothbrush holder. Consequently, I've been thinking a lot recently about that life flashing before your eyes moment. You know, the scenes that play out as you plummet from the sky in a plane crash full of passengers watching the Mean Girls remake. At present, my deathbed montage will consist mostly of me wondering what will feature in my deathbed montage. Come to think of it, maybe I'm in it now. All right, I'm seriously regretting that last ketamine binge. Come to think of it, maybe I'm in it now. Thank you very much.
See, I think we've started something tonight here. I mean, if you wanted entertainment in this area, you used to go to Hackney, but now it's become gentrified. It's called Harkenay. So maybe Aberfeldy is the place to be. Hey! You can now get latte with your fried chicken. Right, we're going to have an open mic, and Danny has been very brave to go first. So give him a big round of applause. And he's a local geezer as well.
Hello. It works. It definitely works. Yeah, it's hard act to follow there from that stand-up. I was going to do stand-up, but I've got no jokes. So, first of all, hello to those that know me. And those that don't, you are truly the lucky ones, actually. And welcome to the Tommy Flowers. If it wasn't for Tommy Flowers, we wouldn't even have today's stuff. No computers, nothing like this. So, Tommy, well done to him. He brought us the war 2 years earlier by cracking the Enigma code with Alan Turing. So we wouldn't be in here tonight and we wouldn't be enjoying ourselves. And so let me tell you a bit about Aberfeldy Street. As you can see, Aberfeldy Street is twinned with Chernobyl. But but Chernobyl is the better choice to be in at the minute. It is handed into the developers whose previous jobs used to work for Hades collecting souls. So, no, but that's the thing. It's they say you can't polish a turd, but you can paint one instead. And so it's just it's Aberfeldy. It's just. Well, you gotta come from Aberfeldy to understand Aberfeldy, and as you can see, I am Aberfeldy, and that. And if you're wondering how, and if you're wondering how I lost my teeth, that's another story. But I lost them boxing a midget, and that is true. No, that is the truth. I was in a boxing ring, but me and him left, and I was paired with him. And I kept hitting him in the head. He kept getting angrier and angrier. And I said, do that again, I'll tell Snow White to you. So, no, I did. And I kept hitting him. And he kept getting angry and angry. So where I'm partially deaf, I didn't hear the trainer say, Dan, you've got to put the gloves down. So as I turned, this little midget swung from nowhere. And as I stepped back, he caught me on the tooth. Now, the last thing I remember is my two teeth flying, and I hit the canvas, blacked out for about, I think for a minute, really, and I could hear the bell going, and I thought, oh, fuck, I've left my dinner in the microwave. Hey, I ain't payday till Friday. Any IOUs going? But, yeah, so this is Aberfeldy. Poplar is a place for defiance and everything. If you want to stand up for something, come and stand up for Poplar. And I wish I brought a better comedy act than this one. So thank you very much.
Be honest, people, Danny was very popular, wasn't he? Very popular. So I tell him. Right, the next open mic is Muzz. Where's Muzz? He's here.
I'm going to read out a poem which I wrote about a few months ago in support of Gaza. It's called Who Bombed Israel? Who built the wall? Who invaded our land? Who said there are no Palestinians? Who planted the barbed wire? Who watched from the watchtowers? Who said they came in peace but made war? Who were our guests in our home? Who drove us out then? Who created the Nakba, our trail of tears, our catastrophe? Who? Who said Jehovah gave them this land when we say Allah gave this earth to all? This land is a home for all its people. Why did Isaiah blast his own people? Why did he say, make yourselves honorable men, turn yourselves away from evil deeds, be upright and deal well with others? Who were the promise breakers? Who are the thought police in the news and the social media? Who weaponized the Holocaust for their own cause? Who brooks no critique? Who built this land on a lie? Who? Who laid siege to Gaza and to the West Bank? Who settled on land that is not theirs? Who wanted it all? Every nail drives out another nail. Fire drives out fire until fire blinds our eyes. Who is digging graves into our heads? Are we to eat air? Black grief of daybreak, they make us drink it and drink it. Black bread of daylight, they make us eat it and eat it. Whose knee is on Palestinian necks, choking off air, choking off life? Are we to be slaves in our own land, digging our graves with our own hands? They call us human animals. They say, kill every man, woman, child, and beast. They say, we are Amalek. They say, nuke them all. They are the voices of genocide. Why? Because we dared to break out of their prison. Why? Because we dared to take our destiny in our own hands. Why? Because we are men and we will not be cowed. They want us to be human cattle that they can prod and herd us where they will. We are prisoners of hate. We are waiting for death every second. Gaza is now a death camp and a mass grave. In Gaza, even the olives are bleeding. But our will of life is stronger than our despair. We struggle towards life. We struggle for justice. We struggle for freedom. We struggle for humanity. My son asked, will we die? And I said, we as Palestinians will not die. We are not afraid of mountains. We have been climbing them all our lives, and we will keep climbing them until all the walls fall from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Powerful stuff there. Peace and solidarity to all. Right, the next open mic is Lewis. Where's Lewis? Well done, Lewis. Now, Lewis. Sorry? Yeah, last chance to join the open mic, if you can follow these fine people. Lewis came along as a spectator, and he's now volunteered for the firing squad. There you go.
Thank you. Well, I was going to do some comedy. It's very hard to follow that poem there. But I'm going to do some jokes. But before I do that, I want to talk about two of my friends, Imran Yusuf, who is a Muslim comedian, and Ian Stone, who is a Jewish comedian. And they work together so much to show people there is hope for the future. So let's think about hope as well. I just want to put that into people's mind. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from South London. I laughed at your jokes and everything, David.
He's a heckler.
And I come from... Stop it now. I come from Clapham. Yeah, well done. We really poor. We had no money at all. We were really poor. In fact, my mum didn't have a house when she was pregnant with me. Growing up, she used to say, when I gave birth to you, I was squatting. And we had a tradition of clothes being handed down through the generations. I got annoyed going to school in 14th century clothes. I thought that was taking it. At one time going with this school with this big brimmed hat with a feather, a cloak and a sword. And they sent me home. Didn't like my cavalier attitude. So there we are. I'm living at my dad's house, so my dad's getting on. I think that some of us might be in the same boat these days. Buying a house is quite difficult. So there are people sort of my age now that possibly might be waiting for someone to... Yeah, but you've got to be subtle about this sort of thing. Like this year for Christmas, I bought my dad a step ladder and a chainsaw. I call it my hedge fund. it's quite sad, but I'm not going to get on the ladder unless he gets on the ladder. So it's really, and it's really claustrophobic living at home. During lockdown, that got my anxiety going. I actually ended up with sort of a lot of problems. This one's a little bit rude, but I did experiment. I did take a Viagra, and then I took all my clothes, and I just felt like an idiot, actually. I stood in front of the mirror and had a long, hard look at myself. I just felt really silly, to be honest, and I couldn't sleep. I phoned up the insomnia helpline. 3 hours of talking to me. They were all asleep. So I've actually been asked to speak at the National Insomnia Conference, which is in December. I'm really excited. Just 3 more sleeps. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how much long. I'm just going to do a couple of new. I've started acting again. I used to do a lot of stand-up. I went off to actors' meeting, sat round in a room with some other guys, and they were all like, "Oh, we're not going to get a job. This is terrible. Acting's terrible." I thought, "Oh no, I've gone into negative equity here." Yeah. Some of the people from the 80s might get this one. I listened to a lot of Gloria Estefan. I found when I was watching that, my heart kept going funny. So I went to the GP and he said, "It sounds like arrhythmia is going to get you." Okay. Neuralink. Have you heard of this Neuralink, the chip in the brain thing? And I'm just a little bit concerned about that because it's by Elon Musk. I mean, would you trust that man to put a chip in your brain? I don't think. Imagine being woken up at 3 a.m. to find there's a Java update available or something. I just don't think it's really a good idea. Okay. Yeah, I've been in a long relationship for a while, and my girlfriend, she got me a calculator for Christmas. I thought that just sums everything up. Has anyone seen the film Fight Club? Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to beat myself up about that. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Just a little word of warning: if you do, end up on the DLR just before the tube, just before the station, I saw a really good busker a few weeks ago selling CDs for 10 quid. I thought I'll have one of them. Took it home. It's just 20 minutes of him laughing. So should have brought it tonight, really, shouldn't I? I guess. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Lewis. We've got one more mic slot, but if not, it'll have to be me. Go on, David. Okay then, right. Political jokes. I wasn't going to go there, but we've already been there, so I think I will go there. Anybody remember Margaret Thatcher? Yes. Well, she once went to open an aquarium, and there was all the fish swimming around. And she said, "Mrs. Thatcher, if you put your hand in the tank, you can control the thinking of the fish." "Oh," she said, "that's very good. Can I have a try?" So all the fish swim around. She puts her hand in. Next thing you know, she's going bob, 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 bob. The fish were controlling her brain. Never mind. Right. I'm a Marxist. Does anybody know all the Marx brothers? Come on, let's have a Marx brother, please. One. Harpo. Zeppo. Chico? One more? Gummo. No, nice one. Gummo. Right, so this is my favourite joke. It's a very long joke, and you have to imagine, nobody here is Italian. No, we've got a poll, but you can't have everything. Right, so Italian accent. Chico is Italian. I don't know why he's Italian, but he is. So this joke's about 90 years old. So, it's worn a little bit over time. So, we get in this aeroplane. We fly across the ocean. Halfway across the ocean, we've got plenty of gas. Then we have to turn back. We run out of gas. Next time, we take plenty gas. Flying across the ocean, that's fine. Halfway across, plenty gas, just about to land. And what do you think? We run out of gas. Got to fly all the way back. The next time, we take plenty gas. Halfway across, that's fine, plenty gas. Just about to land, that's fine, plenty gas. And what do you know? We forget the airplane. And on that note, we will finish. Right, I've got what is called here an outro, which is where we thank people. A big thank you to all the performers: John, Shahid, Sophie, Simon, Malwina, Julie, Asina, Kay, Bo, Zoe and Rona. Thank you to Nick and the Tommy Flowers Pub. They're open for drinks every Thursday and Sunday, so pop in for drinks at reasonable prices. Also thanks to Tower Hamlets Small Grants who supported us in putting on this event, hopefully first of many. If you have any ideas for local events, you should check them out. Tower Hamlets Small Grants. If you enjoyed tonight and want to take part in the next event or have an idea, please speak to Margot. That's Margot. The only problem is you have to speak Polish. If you want to share your feedback on the event, please speak to Mikey. He will record your voice. Modern. Your feedback will help us with getting the word out and putting on more events like this. Finally, if you've liked what you've seen tonight, please let the performers know. If you didn't like what you heard tonight, please don't tell them. It really means a lot to get some encouragement. Each of them shared some great work tonight, so go and let them know that you enjoyed it. I've been your host with the least, Dave. Good night and have a drink.